Welcome to class number 4, and this class is entitled Posture. Well, what is posture? How do you identify that? This is something I'm absolute passionate about based upon the fact that this is something I did not have when I first started Advocare. This is something you can develop over time. So get ready for class number 4.
You know, I remember when we first started Advocare, it was really something that I saw for ourselves first. And Bob was kind of like, okay, what are you doing, Jen? What is all this? And he loved the products. But when we went out and talked to people, Bob didn't have a real strong belief in where we were going. He didn't have that yet. And so when we would talk to people, they would naturally gravitate towards me because I went to Success School, and Bob didn't go to Success School, our first one, because he was still kind of like trying to hold the reins back a little bit because he didn't know. He didn't know what Advocare was. And so I went to Success School, I came home, and I just had this like rock solid confidence and belief on the inside of me. And that translated to people going, okay, Jenny, and asking me a lot of questions. And Bob, because he was a little bit nervous, he didn't go to Success School, he hadn't seen Advocare in the same light I had, he still had a lot of questions and a lot of things going on inside of him. And what we say is sometimes people can see a question mark written on your forehead. Like you don't really know and you don't really believe what's going on. And you can say words, but they don't mean anything because you're not attracting people because of a lack of strength. And so strength is something you can't fake. It is something that gets on the deep down inner part of your being. And so this posture class is really amazing. This is one of the most well-received classes in all of the boot camps because people really needed to hear this. We all know that person, when they walk in the room, they exude confidence. And it's like, if they told you about a business, you'd probably want to hear about it just because there's somebody who's so solid and so confident and not arrogant. They're just confident and kind and solid. And then we all know another person that's real wishy-washy and very timid in their approach in everything in life. And so you just don't think maybe you want to join them in anything because you don't feel safe with somebody like that. And so in this next class, it's amazing what Bob can do in such a short amount of time to teach you how to have great posture. Let's go to class.
Number 4, and training lesson number 4 is titled Posture. When I first heard that, I thought, well, posture, yeah, standing upright. I mean, that's what I thought posture was. But posture is not necessarily just that. It's how people perceive you. Not how you perceive yourself, how other people perceive you. And posture can either be strong or it can be weak. Your posture can either be confident or it can be arrogant. I watched some YouTube videos. I was doing research on really what the true definition of posture is. I couldn't really find a true definition of posture. But I was watching some YouTube videos, and when they were training on posture, this person, was so arrogant. And that's how his posture was. And he didn't realize that he was arrogant. Realize that the root of arrogance is insecurity. The root of neediness is also insecurity. This guy was so arrogant, but he didn't realize how arrogant it was. In Advocare, what I want to give people, that perceive me, I want them to perceive inner confidence that I'm going to base everything upon truth. And when I walk into an environment, everything behind me, everything on my shoulders, everything in my mind, everything in my heart, everything about me is about the truth of what Advocare can do for their life. And you walk into situations, whether it be a mixer, whether it be talking to your friend, family, you may feel extremely nervous about that introduction to Advocare. But if you base everything upon the foundation, the truth of what Advocare is, you will walk in there with more confidence than you've ever had. There's 2 factors that govern this positive posture. There's internal factors, which we're going to cover towards the end, and there's external factors. I'm going to kind of teach you some of the external factors that you can start, basically applying to your business today. That a lot of things I shared when these people were sharing their stories, it was all about posture. And there's some external factors you can start doing in your business when you're sharing a story, when you're starting introducing people to Advocare, that would totally change your posture. I'm talking about arrogance and confidence. The definition of confidence is the state of feeling certain about the truth of something. That's confidence. Because a lot of people misunderstand what really strength or confidence is. They think it's You're almost being arrogant. Again, the definition of confidence is a state of feeling certain about the truth of something. Arrogance is having or displaying a sense of overbearing self-worth or self-importance. That's arrogance. When I come into a mixer setting, when I'm starting to share AdvoCare, the last thing I want to do is think about me before I start sharing AdvoCare. Because if I think about me and how people are perceiving me, I come across more on the arrogant side versus the confident side of his business. So what is the truth? And we're going to be sharing a little bit about some of the things you can stand on when it comes to AdvoCare that'll help you, walk in absolute truth. Has anybody heard of the bulletproof shield before? And we're going to talk a lot about the bulletproof shield. Those are the external factors that you can start changing right now. Has anybody heard about the term relaxed intensity? What relaxed intensity is just like watching when I'm on a live Ustream video. I may look like I'm comfortable in what I'm doing, but like I said, I'm not comfortable doing that at all. But I'm relaxed, intense. Where this is, I'm relaxed. I'm having fun with it, but I'm also intense because it's a serious subject. Make sense? That's what relaxed intensity. And relaxed intensity, by nature, is a learned habit. It's not one of those things you can just all of a sudden have relaxed intensity. It's not going to happen that way. It's going to be through experience you're going to develop a relaxed intensity. Let's talk about ways we can change our posture when we're sharing AdvoCare with people. Because I don't know how many, when I started sharing AdvoCare with some of my family and friends, my first phone conversation was with my brother-in-law. And I started sharing AdvoCare with them, and man, I just unloaded AdvoCare. I don't know if anybody's done that here. But I unloaded AdvoCare, and when I got done with my 20-minute pitch, he was like, "Bob, you sound like an infomercial." And that's the last thing I wanted to sound like. That's the last thing I guarantee you want to sound like. So that's why this posture training is probably the most important training or the most important lesson you're going to get from these lessons. I mean, the training on posture, if you go into an environment and have great posture, whatever comes out of your mouth, and take that, not black and white, but not everything, but I don't worry about if I have confidence, if I have a strong posture, I'm not necessarily worried about what's going to come out of my mouth, because everything I'm saying is kind of developed in a truth and a foundation that I'm just going to talk about the truth of what AdvoCare can do for their life. And that's where arrogance comes in, insecure. The reason why people are arrogant or insecure is because they don't really believe necessarily in their product, their good, or their service. They're a little bit insecure in what they're doing. And how many people here that if you're brand new, you feel a little bit of that insecurity? There's some fact, one of you. Let's talk about some external factors. One external factor, this is something that I learned. Realize my background as I'm sharing AdvoCare, my background is engineering. I was very good at numbers, not necessarily good at talking to people. I mean, the last thing I wanted to do was talk to people. I wanted to be in a lab. I broke boards all day long. I didn't talk to people. I talked to maybe 2 people throughout my workday. And so when I come into AdvoCare, I'm like, talking to people? I talked to my mother on the phone, and she goes, "Bobby, you don't talk to people over the phone." And I don't. But I realized I needed to do it. The second factor is when you use the products, you have to talk to people. So I needed to learn how to talk to people. One of those things that I learned, that I found out I was good at, was smiling. Some of us got to be good at smiling when we're talking to people. I mean, if I'm talking to you and everything's great, and man, I'm telling you, it was a beautiful day, wasn't it? And I mean, 75% of you are smiling at me right now. And you can't control it. The point is that when you're smiling, everything in the environment is better. Everything that you're communicating about AdvoCare is better if you're smiling. And we have some world-class nutritional supplements, and see, all of you are smiling at me. You can't control it. Some of you, when you're sharing your story, and that's when I saw people sharing their story when they're smiling, and they may not be smiling like, don't be fake, like, and just fake smile. I don't know if I can fake smile or not, but when I'm trying to talk, I'm trying to smile as often as I can, because when you're engaging people, when you're coming to talk to somebody, what would you rather see coming at you? Okay, you're about ready to share AdvoCare with one of your family and friends, and you're coming at them like this. I'm looking at you, Kim. So I'm coming at you, and I am serious about this business. Guys, time to be a part of this opportunity. We have world-class endorsers. It's intimidating, isn't it? But if I'm coming at Kim and I'm smiling, it's uncomfortable right now, isn't it, Kim? But if I'm smiling at Kim, it's amazing how it just lightens everything. Some of you got to smile more often. Be happy about what you're doing. Have fun. Don't worry about how uncomfortable you are, what you're about ready to do. I know how uncomfortable it is. And for some of you, say, well, you know what, Bob, that's not in my nature. I just do not smile as much as you do. Well, put it in your nature. And the reason why is because we were all made to smile. You look at a baby, it's not just gas making them smile. They're happy. You talk to Esther, the only reason why she's not happy is maybe she's not getting her way, but she's 3 years old. Everything is happy. When I come in, she's like, she is elated. She is happy. Some of us need to be happier. Smile more often. And this goes for the leaders too. Have fun with what you're doing. And it's so difficult because AdvoCare is so serious. But if you're not smiling enough, that's the initial, if you want to engage somebody, what I mean by confronting them or talking to them about AdvoCare, what would you rather see? Look in a mirror. Practice. Just look and smile a little bit and practice a little bit, because some of you got to relearn it. We've got to relearn that. And that's what I try. Anytime I'm talking, if I get to a point where I'm 5 minutes into my conversation and I'm not smiling, I make it a point to smile or do some stupid joke about my own body or whatever I'm trying to do. I just try to make it light of it a little bit, smiling, get myself smile. They may not be smiling at me. I met a guy the other night, and his name was one of my kids' names, and I said, "Oh, that's my," and he was like, "That's nice." And he wasn't smiling. I was like, "All right, okay," but I'm smiling anyways. I'm gonna. It doesn't matter what they do, but if they see your joy, man, they're gonna get a lot more yeses. I'm telling you. Listen more often. And really, after a meeting, after a mixer, as I'm talking to people, I am listening more than I'm actually talking. What that does is it develops a confidence of where you stand. You care more about them than you're caring about yourself. As you're listening, it's amazing how you could talk to somebody. They know nothing about you, but you know everything about them, and they think you're the best person in the world. Man, that Bob guy, he's a nice guy. They don't know anything about me. But the great thing is, I don't care if they don't know anything about me. I just want them to follow this party that we're having called AdvoCare. I want to care about him more than anything, or her more than anything. Listen more often. And conversation, and these are external factors. These are things that you can change right now. And I read my kids the book called "My Mouth is a Volcano," and just talking about it's just talking about interrupting and just spraying AdvoCare on people, and not my kids, but just interrupting everything. And we say, your mouth is a volcano right now. Just blowing it up. And it's funny how when we talk to people, we're listening, and all of a sudden they say something that triggers a thought, and we interrupt the person that's talking to us because we want to tell them what's on our mind. Do you know how many times I talk to somebody and I want to share what's on my mind, and I stop myself. I go, they don't care really what I know. They don't care. They just want to know I care. Listen. Ask lots of questions. When I'm in a conversation, whether it be troubleshooting in a leadership setting, or whether I'm talking to them about product, whether I'm on a three-way, when I'm anything that I'm trying to ask a lot of questions. And the reason why I'm asking a lot of questions, and that is an external factor, something that you can change right now, but don't be methodical about it. Like when I train on asking questions, and I'm on a phone call and say, well, tell me a little bit about yourself. And and they start sharing something, and I have a list of questions on my sheet of paper that I'm just starting to get into, like, okay, how old are you? Okay, how many kids do you have? What do you do for a living? And I'm just starting to fight. No, it's what happens in conversation, guys, and some of us need to learn this. I ask a question. This is what conversations happen. This is going to be great. I ask a question. They talk to me for 10 minutes. I said, well, now, tell me, when you said, tell me, what do you mean by that? And then they talk to me for another 10 minutes. And then I ask another question, say, well, tell me, what about, they talk to me for another 5 minutes. Then I ask you another question. That's how most of my conversations take place. It's asking questions, because when they download what's in them, what they're looking for, do you know how much easier it is to develop a posture that AdvoCare can be a solution for their life? I can go golfing with someone for 3.5 hours. They have no idea what I do for a living, but I know everything about them because I ask them a lot of questions. And I'm telling you, if you want to be different in this world, you care more about other people than you care about yourself. You ask a lot of questions and you listen to the response. And I'm telling you, people will follow. And if you go into any type of environment, any person that you're about ready to talk to, if you have the idea, okay, this is going to be my question opener, and we're going to see where the conversation, what takes place. And it's amazing how if you ask enough questions, AdvoCare will come up. Now, some of you are so process-oriented. You want to know, okay, Bob, what are the questions you ask to make it happen? And the reality, that's the beautiful thing about a conversation. I never know how the conversation is going to take place. But my whole goal is to find out more about them than they know more about me. And if you leave a conversation for you knowing more about them than they know about you, you've won. I'm telling you, they will look at you as a leader. They will look at you with different posture than every other goofball salesman that are out there. Because I'm telling you, how many people have been in an environment talking to sales guys, and they are pitching nonstop, trying to close the deal. Guess what? You guys be different. You walk into a posture that you know what your goal is to impact somebody's life. And if you ask enough questions, if you smile, if you care for them, those are external factors that we can all change right now. Isn't that right? We can all change those. But if we go to it, every time I have failed in AdvoCare, as I've thought about me, every one of my major failures is I've thought about myself before I thought about the other person. Every one of them. Every one of the mixers that were failures, every one of the times I've done a 2-on-1 or a 3-way phone call that were failures, as I started thinking about myself more than I thought about that other person. And it will free you up with recruiting. You'll posture yourself so much differently if you just apply those things. Another external factor, be yourself. You cannot be Bob. If you want to be Bob, you will always be second place. I'm not saying that in kind of a weird way. You will always be second place because there's only one Bob Donnelly. I remember when I got started in this business, in 2000, there was a character, and he was from Arkansas, and I listened to him, and man, he'd mesmerize you. Like you'd listen to him talk to an advisor, and you already signed up, you'd want to re-sign up because he was mesmerizing. And I don't know if it was a Southern thing and all those quirky things that the sayings, and he would just mesmerize you into the conversation. I mean, he was just good at what he did. And some of our leaders would listen to him and listen to his trainings. Back then it was cassette tape, so they put the cassette tape in and listen to his trainings, and they would try to be exactly like this guy on the training. And all their organization was calling us saying, this person is the most arrogant. I mean, they are annoying the fire out of us. And the reason why is because he was trying to be somebody else. He was trying to be this character from Arkansas. If I try to be Danny McDaniel, I will always be second place. And I think about that in trainings. I think about that right now as I'm talking to you. And I can't be Jenny. If I want to be Jenny, I'll always be second place. What would you rather be? And this is not a male talk. And I'm not saying If you're not first, you're last. You know, in the educational film. Be you. And even what I was saying about smiling, you know what, Bob, I don't smile very much. Well, you weren't born that way. I'm sorry, you can smile more often. It takes less muscles than frowning. Does anybody want to be around anybody who's frowning? I mean, who wants to be around a guy that's just happy, not doing something illegal? I'm just happy. No, I'm not doing that, but be yourself. And if you can be yourself, you can be successful in this business. You cannot be anybody else other than yourself. So know that when I see the stories, I love when they bring their own personality into it. That we're not machines. Here's where I was. Here's what I saw. Here's what I did. And being machines. I mean, you know, Brett bringing his own personality into it. That's what I'm talking about. Bringing the best you could possibly bring into the conversation. So you be yourself. Don't be anybody else. Another external factor is called the bulletproof shield. I'm going to get into this really quickly. The bulletproof shield absolutely saved me my first 90 days in this business. And the reason why is that it's something that I could apply to my business and make me look like I know what I'm talking about when I really don't know what I'm talking about. It's standing upon the truth of what AdvoCare stands for versus getting into opinionated battles with other people. The days you start getting questions about ingredients, the days you start getting questions about this business, and individuals not looking to really care what you know about the rebuttal about what the conversation is. What they want to do is getting into an opinionated battle that you're doing something wrong and they're doing something right. Don't get into it. Remember, Jenny we were first month in the business, and Jenny used to work at a hospital in the middle of Idaho. And she set up a conference call with the physicians and nurse staff at this hospital. And some of you heard this story. But I want you to really soak it in because some of us are getting outside of our bulletproof shield. So this conference call was with a bunch of physicians, nurses. Jenny used to be a registered dietitian by trade. So she was going to do the conference call. Well, conveniently, she had a hair appointment. And so she went to her hair appointment. She says, Bob, you've got to do this conference call for me. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm not going to do a conference call with a bunch of physicians and nurses. I don't know anything about them, and nor do I know anything about a doctor or nurse. And I was intimidated. I found out the reality with it is someone can be in that profession and still go do a smoke break from everything that they see. It's just amazing. So I'm just saying that's a stereotype, but that's what happens. I'm just blown away. Well, I get on this conference call, and they start firing away questions about the products, about the ingredients. And one nurse started saying a bunch of scientific words. And I said, whoa. You are talking way over my head. And I was just honest with her. I said, you're talking way over my head. I don't know a lot about that, but I tell you what I do know is. If you can get that phrase in your mind, if you can get that phrase really, that I don't know a lot about that, but I tell you what I do know is, but you say it in that tone, it's not saying, you know what, I don't know, but I'm going to research for the next 3 hours and come up with a great answer for you. And the reality with it is you're going to provide an answer, and it didn't do anybody any good because they really don't care about your answer. They want to get in an opinionated battle. So I stick with this bulletproof shield, and this nurse started firing away these questions. I said, I don't know a lot about that, but I tell you what I do know is Dr. Robert Hackman is part of our medical and scientific advisory board, and he's from UC Davis, and my wife, you know my wife, and she graduated with a registered dietitian degree from University of Idaho, and she saw UC Davis as a part of AdvoCare, and she said, you know what, if UC Davis is a part of AdvoCare, if Dr. Robert Hackman is a part of AdvoCare, I want to be a part of it. So I don't know a lot about that, but that's what I do know is. What can she say in rebuttal to that? Nothing. I didn't go into her opinions and opinions in today, and how many people get just some goofy. God love the internet, but there's a lot of information about the internet. So let's go into the bulletproof shield. This is you, figuratively speaking, you're in a force field. If you get outside this force field and start answering some questions, like I know you all have done, if you start doing that, you have lost. You will get literally beat up outside this force field. So I already mentioned one part of the bulletproof shield, and that is called the Medical and Scientific Advisory Board. Does anybody have an Impact magazine here in the first few rows? I know all of you are prepared. Attaboy Sam. So when you look at this Impact magazine, the reason why we have this Impact magazine is not just to get a great piece of literature for an inexpensive price. It's for you to utilize it. What I encourage everybody to do, and if they're watching this on video or throughout this week, look at the Scientific Medical Advisory Board, look at their credentials, look at what they stand for, and over the next week, learn a couple new names and utilize them. Say, I don't know a lot about that, but here's what I do know is, and even you could even be in a meeting and say, I don't know a lot about that, but I'll tell you, Sid Stows is a former professor of pharmacology and toxicology, and if he's in that type of background, I don't know what that ingredient is, but I'm sure as a toxicologist, he knows what he's putting in the product. So, all these doctors formulate the products. I don't know a lot about that, but that's what I do know is. See how easy that is? And we want to defend certain ingredients. The next, your story plus 2 others. So when you're talking about your story, that's why lesson 3 is so relevant, being a product of the product. I had my product story the very first day. I went from 2 pots of coffee to no coffee. I started marketing product not based upon losing 25 pounds. I started marketing product based upon the energy I felt the very first day. I wanted everybody to feel like I felt. So knowing your story, that's why we have everybody share their story. It's so important for you to know your personal story and have it impact the other person's life. But not only that, knowing 2 others. Look through this Impact magazine and discover some stories and learn them. Learn some of their stories and read through them and utilize them if you have a question. So I've tried XYZ diet. I don't know. This has got to be the same. You know what? I don't know a lot about that XYZ diet. The number one side of insecurity is when you bash everything around you. And I'm telling you, a lot of companies try to bash AdvoCare. The reason, they're insecure. You don't have to mention what they do. People ask me, well, what do you know about this company? I said, you know what? I know a lot, but I don't really know a lot right now. I'm just being honest with you, because I'm not going to sit there. I know a lot about companies, but I'm not going to bash any other company, nor do you have to do that either. So you know what? I don't know a lot about that, but here's what I do know is we have Brian and Jennifer Cummings out of Hawaii, and you can go into their story. It says products have absolutely impacted their life. Not only has it impacted their life, I've been on this product for 24 days. The first 24 days, I lost 12 pounds. Now, that's not my story. I just made that up. It sounded believable, didn't it? But, your story. And sometimes that's why it's relevant when I'm talking about using the product or being a product of the product in your story. You may be on product for the last 4 years, and you want to mention everything the last 4 years. Develop a new story. I'm developing a new story. I gained 12 inches around my right bicep. I didn't, but I'm just developing a new story. Your story plus 2 others. Endorsers. We used to have this famous quarterback that was an endorser when I first got started, and every question, Jenny knew that I would respond to. I don't know a lot about that, but I tell you who takes this product, and if he takes the product, I don't know anything about a pyramid scheme, but if he takes it, there's no way this is a pyramid scheme. Here's what I want you to think about. Guys, listen up. Gals, listen up, and this may not be relevant for you as much because you may not understand it, but guys, can you imagine if Drew Brees walked in that door right now? Our national spokesperson. He walked in that door and he walked in here, and Drew said, "Hey, Bob, let's go talk to some people about AdvoCare." He's like, "Well, sure, I'll talk to you." And I take Drew along with me, and I go door to door, and I say, "Hey, my name's Bob. This is my friend Drew, and we are tight. He's my BFF, and I bring Drew along with me." Can you imagine the people that the folks that are going to say yes, but you realize in every conversation, you have Colt McCoy sitting right next to you. If you had Drew Brees walking with you talking about AdvoCare, how many people would say yes? Walk in a posture and a confidence that every single situation you come in contact with people, you have those guys along with you. Because nobody's going to say no to you if Drew Brees is alongside with you. But we feel like, oh, since it's in a magazine, people are skeptical. Blah, blah, blah. Say, I don't know a lot about that. And back then, it was a certain quarterback I always used because I didn't learn a lot about the bulletproof. I just learned one. So it may just be Colt McCoy. And you may be talking to a gal that knows nothing about football. Say, I don't know a lot about that, but Colt McCoy takes his product. And we don't give him any kind of cash compensation whatsoever. The guy gets paid millions of dollars off his body, and we don't give him any cash. We give him free product. Can you believe that? And even she may not know anything you're talking about, but you have so much confidence in the truth you stand on, she's going to buy into it. And you may not think that, but I'm telling you, in the last 11 and a half, I'm talking about 11 and a half years of experience, they do. And the reason why is because you're not getting into any of their opinionated battles. If you get outside this bulletproof shield, it's going to happen. Last ditch effort. Satisfaction guarantee. I use this very last. And the reason why is because sometimes we use it with the individuals we probably shouldn't use because they're looking for an easy way out. I want people that are serious about feeling better, looking better, performing better. And if I give them a way out right from the beginning, they've been thinking about it for 24 days, a way out. It's there. Our return rate, statistically, is industry low. I'm telling you, just for the amount of people that actually return product, it's so incredibly low compared to what's out there. Our retention rate is off the charts, people that are taking AdvoCare products. So the 100% satisfaction guarantee, don't use it at the very beginning. Use it at the very end. And you may say your stories and they say, well, I still don't know. Say, what's the worst case scenario? We have a 100% satisfaction guarantee with these products. The only reason why you say no still is you're really not ready for it. That's fine. I mean, it sounds very non-threatening, isn't it? But all these things, this bulletproof shield, still, even if you know the answer about caffeine, and you know everything about caffeine, even if you're scientifically sound with your research on caffeine, if you get into it, you lose. So I'm not worried about they're not worried about what I know. They just want to know I'm confident in what I'm doing, and I'm going to stand upon this truth, and this is not, what are they going to say about Colt McCoy? I don't know a lot about that, but Colt McCoy takes the products, and University of Texas, starting quarterback, and he graduated, and now he's a Cleveland Browns starting quarterback, and he gets paid off his body. And so I don't know a lot about that ingredient, but he takes the product before every single game and in practice. So, and what are they going to say in result to that? No, he doesn't. Well, yeah, he does. So, isn't that great? So no matter how confident you are, you got this. No matter how insecure you are, you can walk with a smile. You can ask the questions. You can listen. And I'm telling you, if you have those external factors, you can be your posture tomorrow. I'm telling you, your posture tomorrow should be a lot different than your posture tonight. When you're sharing a story from this point forth, the folks that walk up here, I guarantee you their posture is going to be a lot different from this. You may be nervous. You may want to throw up. You may want to go to the bathroom and escape. But I guarantee your posture is going to be different. And now when we're starting talking to people, your posture is going to be different as well if you have those external factors. Now, I will say there's the other side of it. Thank you, Sam. Thank you for being prepared. Not like me. Everything that we're discussing is just standing on the truth. Lastly, I'll land this plane. Some internal factors. External factors is something that we can apply right now. All those things I talked about, we can start doing it right now. The internal factors may be a process. I don't know. A lot of times it was a process for me. What we want to pay attention to when it comes to internal factors, first and foremost, your attitude and your beliefs. What do you believe in? Attitude is what's called a habit. This is from Napoleon Hill. A habits of thought. That is your attitude. We were making, and what's great about this business, you can make an incredible income and still insecure with your own attitude and insecure with your own self. I mean, we were making $10,000 a month in this business. And a lot of you have heard this training, and there's more involved, but it was just basically a shift in my personal attitude towards this company. And I was sitting there, and I started thinking about, we took this couple out to dinner, and we're going to tell them about AdvoCare. You remember when I said about, if you have an intention to pitch them AdvoCare, it will never come out right. And so we went through the entire dinner, and in the back of my mind was saying, I'm going to talk to them about AdvoCare. I'm going to talk to them about AdvoCare. And how many people have been in those situations where, like, man, they're giving you all the signs they need to hear about AdvoCare, and you don't get the gut to just. So we went through dinner, dessert, all this, and they were giving me all the signs. I got to tell them about AdvoCare, and I didn't. And I was so mad at myself. And so Jenny was mad at me too. And I love Jenny, but I just try to make my Jenny proud. I don't care about any other person that's proud of Bob. I just want to make my wife proud. And so when I was upset that I didn't do it, so I was upset with myself more than anything. So I got by myself and I started thinking about, and it was really a book by John Maxwell, one of the foremost authorities upon leadership. And his first book that he ever wrote, Think on These Things. And I started thinking about, Bob, what do you think about AdvoCare? Really, truly, what do you think about? And at that moment, I absolutely changed my habits of thoughts immediately. I went from thinking, my number one fear is like, I don't want to be that one guy in the neighborhood that everybody sees. Oh, here comes Bob. Here comes the sales guy. Here comes the A guy, if you know what I mean, fill in the blanks there. Here comes the guy that's going to pitch all my friends. I was so worried. The number one fear that people deal with is not necessarily fear of failure or fear of success. It's the fear of looking cool in front of your family and friends. And some people just want to be too cool for school. And that was me. I was so worried about what the guys from college would think about me. So I feared what they thought of me. And at that moment, I started thinking about the quarterback and what AdvoCare stood for. I started looking at the endorsers. I started looking about the Med Sci board. I look at the company of AdvoCare, how we got paid. We were making $10,000 a month. What am I have to fear? I was making $10,000 a month. In 3 months' time frame, at that moment, when I started changing my habits of thought of what I thought about people, we went from $10,000 a month to $25,000 a month in 3 months. That's a pretty staggering jump, isn't it? But I'm telling you, I changed my attitude of thought. Some of us have been making $500 a month because we have poor habits of thought. Our attitude about AdvoCare is skewed, a little bit off. Maybe your own belief. That's what I'm talking about. These are internal factors. It didn't happen overnight. But I needed to develop a personal habit of thought. You know what? I can succeed in this business. My dad told me I couldn't succeed. He called me a fool, but I'm telling you, I am not. I needed to develop a habit of thought that needed to change inside. And at that point, every posture, every person I talked to, I had a boldness that came upon me, not because of anything weird or anything about that I read or a training. It happened inside of my own thinking. And some of you are frozen in the state that you're in, not based upon you really, your leadership or anything outside your spouse that we try to blame it on. It's nothing about that. It's your own thinking. You got to change your habit of thought. You were meant for greatness. And I started thinking about, I was meant for greatness. I got XYZ quarterback on my shoulder. I'm going to go in every situation. I got this in back of me. So I stand upon the truth, and my posture changed. Not in an arrogant way. Not like that way. I didn't come into a mix and start talking like that. I could blow people's eyebrows clean off. Your attitude about this product, this company, and the leadership has to change. And I'm telling you, if you change that inside, because sometimes we think well, maybe I'm just talking about myself here. I'm not talking about you. Maybe I think, well, maybe I'm just not meant to do this business. I mean, maybe it's just for Bob and Jenny, and Michael and Christine, and JD and Shauna, Wayne and Sarah and Christine. I mean, they just have something I just don't have, I guess. They have a spouse that supports them. I don't have that. I mean, whatever we're thinking about. I didn't think about the spouse thing because Jenny was thinking about that with me. I thank God that I had a mentor that believed in me before I believed in myself. And understand this, I believe in you. I will believe in you more. You're going to quit on yourself before I quit on you. And the reality with it is we could make a lot of money and still just go. But I mean, there's so many more people. The phone call I did with Tom today, guy in, I don't know where he's at, in California, somewhere, wherever that's at. I mean, Placerville, what is it? What, really? Well, I'm telling you, somebody in Placerville needs to hear about Advocare. And that's what gets my juices flowing, of these areas that don't know about Advocare yet. I mean, guys, you can be the pioneer of Placerville, California. Change your attitude about it. Get that juice in your body flowing. Get your posture up. When you walk, nothing we've done in the past, everything we've done in the past is absolutely irrelevant from this point forth. What you decide right now, tonight, and your posture is going to change everything. Your belief. Beliefs change your behavior, and behavior is directly linked to your results. It's amazing how that attitude inside of me just totally, it changed my belief in myself, a belief in this business, and as a result, my behavior from that point forth totally changed. The last thing we want to do is what's called belief cards, and this is part of your workshop. And what a belief statement, and I'll read this directly from our workshop, so I don't mess with it. And this is nothing that is, it's not weird or goofy. It's just, someone's got to plant some good seeds in your soil, and whether it be me or somebody, but you got to start planting yourself too. Start confessing good things. Start believing in great things are going to happen in this business. So let me read this one. This is from the workshop, so you're all going to have it, so don't try to write this down, okay? On the index cards that you brought to class, write down 25 separate belief statements that are going to download into your belief system. Remember, your belief statement is in the form of a positive and in the present tense. These statements may relate to family, marriage, children, yourself, and Advocare. I'll give you an example. Incorrect. I won't be afraid of talking to new people from now on. I won't be. See, it's afraid is negative. Understand? The word afraid is a negative and is written in the future action. A belief statement that you want to write, it's fun and energizing to talk to people. It's energizing. It gets you excited to talk to people. Fun and energizing are positive words to download it, and it is written in present tense. Another thing is an incorrect statement. $2,100 is a lot of money. This is one thing that, this might be your belief statement. But this was Jenny's belief statement. I remember we would go through an entire presentation, Jenny and I, and most of the time our presentations, this is how Jenny and I did it. As I was third party for Jenny, Jenny would talk, and I would sit there and nod my head, and she would go, and I would just smile and go along with it. And then at the end, I knew when she went up to go to the bathroom, it was my job to say, this is $2,100 to get in this business. Because, I was fine with it. Because I thought it was a deal. I was smart of a business guy that I knew $2,100 was nothing when it comes to franchise, when it comes to businesses. To start up a business, $2,100 is nothing. That was my belief. Some of you, that might not be your belief. You may think that $2,100 is actually a lot of money. You talk to some of the business owners. How many people are either business owners today or ex-business owners? A lot of you. Well, that doesn't include AdvoCare, but hopefully. But, I mean, $2,100 is nothing. So Jenny was, my belief statement was, I didn't have to worry about that. But that may be your belief statement. $2,100 is a lot of money, but it's worth it if my friend succeeds at this. It's an incorrect belief statement. A correct belief statement. It's easy for me to talk to people about $2,100 investment because it's a small price to pay for total financial freedom. And in your belief statements, you're going to be writing these things down. And one of the parts of the workshop and your homework is to verbally say these twice a day. And it's amazing how you start speaking it, how it starts changing in your life. And you will never, you will never rise above your belief. I've always heard you can never outgrow your paycheck in AdvoCare. Basically what that relates to is you'll never outgrow your belief in this business. Realize, check it. If you think you cannot earn $20,000 a month, guess what? You won't. It's not a bad thing, but if you think you can't earn $2,000, if you think that you can't get to Ruby, you don't have to worry about it. Thank God. But I'm hoping that you listen to us and that belief in yourself will start rising up that, you know what, I can do this. My Christine is special. Jenny and Sean are nothing special. Bob and Jenny are anything special. Jenny might be special. Whatever. But you can do it. But you got to believe you can do it. And you're never going to rise above if you don't believe. And it can happen to be with business, and I'm just thinking to myself, I'm not necessarily, this is not my belief. So, but like as far as being patient with Jenny, like Jenny, with these trainings, these lessons, I mean, Jenny wanted to download in Bob, like. She wanted to tell me exactly what we're going to train on as far as lesson 3 and 4. But that's just Jenny. She wants to. She gets her fired up. That's her beliefs. And for me, I get impatient because I say, I can only, if I'm going to be Jenny, I'm going to be second place. I'm going to be Bob, which is going to be first place. I'm going to win. So, I mean, that's what I was thinking about. But my belief statement was not, I will not be impatient with my wife. That's a negative. I wrote down can I be honest with you? It says, I am always patient and kind with Jenny. I mean, it's present and positive. Some of you guys need to write that about your spouse. So it's not just about business. It's about your personal belief in your spouse, in your family, where you're going. And that's 25 business cards. When you start writing those down, you start working the workshops. It obviously changes the way you think. If it changes the way you think, guess what's going to be changing? Your behavior. If your behavior changes, what's going to happen? Your results are going to change. That help y'all? Groovy. Let's get into the workshop.